Are you all ready for some probability theory? Yeah! I love Nerd Night. All right. So my name is Seth Baum. I, during the day, work for a think tank called the Global Catastrophic Risk Institute. We do things like nuclear war, pandemic disease outbreaks, the really big catastrophe scenarios. But today being Friday the 13th of October, which is the spookiest day of the decade, we're going to do smaller size catastrophes, specifically your death, and all the many different things that could cause your death. Now, when we're talking about causes of death, a wonderful resource out there for us is the Center for Disease Control's Wonder database. Now, if you're wondering why they called it that, you ask them, they'll try to tell you, oh, it's an acronym for Wide-Ranging Online Data for Epidemiological Research, but that's not the real reason. Now, the database does have a lot of different things in it, particulate matter, precipitation, and so on, but today being Friday the 13th of October, we're going to focus on death. So if you could all hold your finger up in the air and click on the detailed mortality link, we can go ahead and get started. Now, when you click on this, it takes you to what I think is the single most scary part of the entire database, which is this big warning message that says if you are not careful with this data, your actions could go against the law. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever violated the Public Health Services Act before, but just, speaking for myself personally, actually, this is pretty legit. So the reason they have this there is because the database contains data from every single death certificate in the United States from 1999 to 2015 with enough information about each death that if you zoom in carefully on at least some of them, you might be able to figure out which person matches which database, which violates their medical privacy even though they're already dead. And so we're not supposed to do that. Fortunately, tonight we are only looking at data at a very broad aggregate scale, so there will be no violations of the Public Health Services Act tonight. And we can go ahead and click agree with confidence. It takes us to this screen where you get to choose the ways that you want the data organized by location, by age, by gender, by the year, month, even the weekday of the death, whether or not they had an autopsy, kind of cool. We're just going to skip all of that and go straight to the causes of death using the ICD-10 codes, because the ICD-10-113 cause list, I think, is for chumps. Now, if you look at the causes of death, it's mostly diseases. You got, and this makes sense, right? Most people die from diseases. You got infectious diseases, parasitic diseases, neoplasms, which sounds cool, but it's certainly not as cool as it would be if it was ectoplasms. That's the stuff that ghosts are made out of. Scrolling down, more diseases. Okay, finally you get down to the bottom, external causes. This is more interesting. Let's click there. Transport accidents, intentional self-harm, okay, assault, war, surgery, yes, these are all in fact ways that people can die. But let's look for the weird ones. Let's go to the other causes. Let's see what is in there. Okay, so falls, inanimate and animate mechanical forces, drowning, threats to breathing, electrical current, radiation, smoke, hot substances, venomous forces of nature, poisoning, and so on. All right, not bad. Let's take a look at some of these, shall we? All right, so falls. And did you know there are a lot of different ways you can fall to your death? Yeah. All right, so for example, fall on same level involving ice and snow. You plug this into the database and it says there are a total of 1,662 Americans who died from this between 1999 and 2015, about half of which were in the Midwest. Makes sense, they have a lot of ice and snow there. Now, we're going to go ahead and set aside these geographic breakdowns and just look at the total number across the whole country for a few different types of causes of death. And we're not just going to look at it, we're going to play it. We are going to play a game. We are going to play Guess That Death with me, Seth. The way this is going to work is I'm going to get a volunteer contestant from the audience, and I'll give you a cause of death, and you get to guess the number of people who died from that. So can I have a volunteer, please? Someone. Please, yes.
Should I come up or,
No, you can just stay there. Your name, sir? David, good to meet you. All right, thank you, David. David, where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania too. I am from Pittsburgh with an H. Yeah. Okay. So, David, let's see. What do we have for you? Fall on same level from slipping, tripping, and stumbling. We looked at every death certificate in the United States from 1999 to 2015 to count the number of people who died from fall on same level from slipping, tripping, and stumbling. How many people do you think that is?
I'd say 1,000.
1,000 people. Survey says 11,666. Sorry about that. 666. Coincidence? I don't know. Okay, let's get one more contestant from the audience, please. Anybody want to guess that death? Anyone? In the back. What's your name there? Liz. Great to meet you. Okay, Liz. Let's see what we have for you. We have falls involving bed. So tell me, Liz, have you ever in your life died from falls involving bed? No? You should try it sometime. It's great. Okay, so we looked at every death certificate in the United States from 1999 to 2015 to count the number of people who died from falls involving bed. How many people do you think that is?
15,000.
15,000. Survey says, oh, not bad. 11,308. All right, so we are just going to go into the lightning round now so you can see a little more death. I'm going to put up a cause of death. If anybody wants to shout out a number they think it is, don't wait your turn. Just spit it out, everyone all at the same time. That's fine. So, you ready? Okay, let's go. First one, exposure to vibration. 3,000, 4,000, we have 4,000, 1,200, okay. Survey says 0. You're all wrong. And frankly, I don't even know how you would die from vibrations, right? Probably somebody at the CDC knows the answer to this. All right, next one. Foreign body entering into or through eye or natural orifice. All right. 459. You guys are... Really? Okay. Next one, contact with marine animals. 1,053. All right. 23. Yeah, sorry. It's actually really hard to do. I mean, not that I've tried. Okay. Drowning and submerging in a bathtub. 500, 4,000, okay. 6,000. Not bad. Accidental suffocation and strangulation in bed. 11,000. There's some really freaky Americans between 1999 and 2015. All right. Inhalation of gastric contents. I believe this is when you choke on your own vomit, though I suppose it could also be when you choke on someone else's vomit.
You can't really dust for vomit.
All right. 5,700. All right. This is a good one. Ionizing radiation, like in nuclear power plants, stuff like that. 0. Okay. This is a good one. This is something that every nerd should know. That nuclear power plants are actually really not that dangerous, despite what people who are not nerds might try to tell you, right? This is an important one.
Also, you get superpowers, right?
And you might get superpowers. All right, last one, exposure and rupture of pressurized tire pipe or hose. 111,000, it is 185. It does not happen very often. But I looked this one up, and actually if you put too much air in a tire, it's pretty intense. The air goes flying, the tire goes in the other direction, and that's probably not a direction that you wanted to be going on, especially not that quickly. So yes, every now and then, a few people do in fact die from tire explosions. And that, there you have it, is the Wonder database of causes of death. Thank you all for playing. But doesn't it feel a little empty, a little hollow, like something is missing, certain potential causes of death that didn't quite make the list, like zombies or ghosts or witches, you know, or demons, maybe goblins, maybe centaurs, maybe centaurs in bed. Or finally, mermaids. Could be mermaids. Yeah. All right. So, you might think, of course, the Centers for Disease Control did not include these things in their database. They're fiction. They do not exist. They haven't killed anybody before. They're not going to kill anyone. These things just, they don't exist, right? But do they? All right, so let's take zombies, for example. Now, in the research literature on philosophy of mind, a zombie is not like these sorts of zombies. A zombie is an entity that is identical to a human being in every way except they lack consciousness. That's an interesting one. So I know for a fact that I myself am not a zombie because I have consciousness. I can feel it. Feels good. But do you know that I am not a zombie? Can you say for sure? I would say probably not, right? You can't feel my consciousness. Not that you wouldn't want to, but so we can't say for sure. And if we can't even say for sure whether or not I am a zombie, we certainly can't say for sure whether or not zombies exist and if they've killed other people before, right? We should not say the probability is 0. And that's not just for zombies, but also, you know, ghosts, witches, mermaids, demons, goblins, centaurs, and what did I forget?
Mummies.
Mummies. There's mermaids. There we go. Okay. So we might then ask the question, what is the probability that you will be killed by zombies, ghosts, witches, demons, goblins, centaurs, mermaids, aka zigwidigacum? Now, traditionally, when you calculate the probability of something like this, you look at the historical data, which is depicted here by these pictures of replica human skulls on sale at Amazon for $27.99 plus shipping. And wait. I have one. Best part is, I already had this. I didn't get it for the talk. I was ahead of schedule. Yeah. All right. So when you look at data like this, you say there have been 0 people who have ever been killed by a zigwidigacum, and therefore the probability is 0. But that just doesn't feel right. So I'm going to walk you through a little analysis that's based on work by Robert Bailey's 1997 risk analysis paper, Estimation from Zero Failure Data. Now, zero failure data is basically a data set where a certain type of failure, in this case death by zigwidigacum, has never happened before. And it's a way for calculating the probability, especially when you think that maybe it shouldn't be 0. So To set the model up, we're going to assign the variable p, so the probability of death by zygwiticum, as represented by the black skull, and then q is the probability of death by something else, the white skull. We will note p plus q equals 1, or 100%. Now, let's start with the first human death ever, before we have any data pointing in either direction. Maybe it's zygwiticum, maybe it's something else. We don't really know. So since we don't know, you might say, okay, let's just say it's 50-50. It's coin flip. We don't know which one it is. Now, okay, fine. But it turns out we do know the first death was, in fact, from something else. What about the second one? This is where it gets interesting. So you know the first one was something else. You look at the second one, and you can say, all right, there's a 50% chance that the first one was something else, second one's zygwiticum, 50% chance that they're both something else. Now when you have 50% of them both being something else, q equals 50%, or q squared is 0.5, which means q is 0.71. That gives a 29% chance of the second one being killed by zygwiticum. And so on for the third one, right? Now you have q equals 50%, or q cubed, which gives you q equals 0.79, or p that should be approximately equal to 21%. And you can do this onwards and calculate the successive probabilities according to the nice simple formula of p equals 1 minus 0.5 to the 1 over n, with n equal to the number of deaths from something else, given that there are 0 recorded deaths from zygwiticum. All you need to know to calculate the probability of you being killed by zygwiticum is the number of deaths that there have ever been. Well, we know exactly where to find that. So if you go into your ICD-10 codes and plug in all causes of death, you get 42,170,818. Now we will note, this is only for Americans who died between 1999 and 2015, not every human who ever lived, but okay, fine. This is still a pretty reputable number. Plug that into our equation, do the math, and you get a probability of 1.64 times 10 to the negative 8, or 1.64 times 10 to the negative 6% chance that you will be killed by a zombie, ghost, witch, demon, goblin, centaur, or mermaid. Now, in fairness, this is a fairly small probability, and we probably do have more important things to worry about, at least some of us, than being killed by all those things. But there are other things that have not happened before that really are pretty important, like the stuff I work on, nuclear war, for example. There has been a nuclear war, World War II, a nuclear war. But things were different back then. The United States was the only country that had nuclear weapons at the time. Since the Soviet Union built its nuclear weapons in 1949, there has been nuclear deterrence. We're pointing our weapons at each other. Neither side wants to attack the other one because we'll get hit back. And that, some say, has prevented nuclear war from happening since then. And in fact, some people will even say that nuclear deterrence works so well that the probability is 0. Okay. What we really have is 0 cases since 1949, which is 68 years ago. Plug that in and you get about a 1% per year chance of this is now nuclear war between the United States and Soviet Union and Russia. Or alternatively, 68 years, that's 2 34-year periods, so a 29% chance of this nuclear war within 34 years. Now, you can maybe tweak some of the mathematical assumptions, and if you like, and if you're really trying to get a good estimate of the probability, you would want to look into the empirical details of certain specific nuclear war scenarios. And depending on the details, that might cause you to either increase or decrease your probability estimate. What we can say is the probability is definitely not 0, and in fact, it might be rather high. And that is a nice scary thought for you on this Friday, the 13th of October. Thank you all very much.
Go to nerdnite.com to find a Nerd Nite event near you. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for our latest presentation.